Good day, everybody, and what's up? Welcome to the podcast for Selfless Sex and She Comes First. I'm Dr. Nick Myers. Today is September the 6th, 2022, and I hope you all are having a damn good day out there. So to begin, I just want to say thank you to everyone who tuned in to last week's podcast on Why Do Women Cheat and the quick PSA I did on Why Do Women Cheat. I'm glad you liked them. So at the same time, as a quick favor to me, please hit the subscribe button and the thumbs up button or the like button. It really means a lot to me. So check this out. This podcast is going to be a little bit different. Well, slightly. Just hear me out. I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, and the person being interviewed, she said that she was able to have an orgasm by simply giving her man a blowjob. Now, I'm sitting there thinking, come on now. But she said it again. She can give her man a blowjob, and she gets so turned on, she can have a regular orgasm, or in some cases, she can even squirt. Now, I'm like, really? But then I thought about that old movie from the 70s called Deep Throat, where she had a clitoris in the back of her throat, which is crazy enough as it is right there. But I started to wonder, is this life imitating art, or is this art imitating life? I'm not really sure, but the reality is it could be connected to a throat chakra or the stimulation of the pituitary gland. Very interesting though. So let's talk about that today. So to get this podcast started, I had to think back to a conversation that I had with a friend of mine about 20 or 25 years ago when I lived in New York City, when I was fresh out of the NYU homosexuality program. And she also said that she was able to have an orgasm while giving her man a blowjob, period. So I'm like, wait a minute. There's no clitoral stimulation or anything like that by you or any toy or anything. She goes, no. He usually fucks me for a little bit, or he goes down on me or whatever, and then I just start sucking him off, and I'm so turned on, I have an orgasm while his dick is in my mouth. And that's a quote. So I asked her, how often does this happen? She pretty much said that her and her partner were really in tune sexually, so it can almost happen whenever she went down on him. There could be something to this. Just last week, I was listening to one of my favorite podcasts, which happens to be called Strictly Anonymous, and is hosted by Kathy K. And she was interviewing a young lady who said that she can have an orgasm, or she can actually squirt, while she's giving her man a blowjob, and there's no sort of clitoral stimulation or G-spot stimulation at all. So at first, I'm like, come on now, she just talking shit or whatever. But I'm going to shut up now, and I want you to listen to what she actually had to say.
You're living my dream life. Those are the two things that are like, I can't do that I wish I could.
I mean, and I have every type of orgasm. I have just like internal, like G-spot. I have cervical. I have anal orgasms, clitoral. Every type of orgasm. I had listened to your guest Susan Bratton on a different podcast.
Yeah.
And I can actually make myself squirt now from giving head because of techniques that she has talked about. I'm not kidding you at all.
So wait, nothing's touching you at all?
Nothing is touching me like in the genital area at all. It's only from sucking dick.
Oh,
and I can full on squirt.
I mean, I think a lot of guys just came in their pants hearing that. I think you just made a lot of guys that are driving get a woody.
Yeah, so that makes giving blowjobs really exciting.
So the one thing I really like about this interview is how Kathy and Erica really got down to it. So Miss Kathy asked Erica to explain her technique, and for lack of a better term, it sounds like Erica is using her partner's penis to stimulate her throat clitoris, quote unquote. So once again, I'm going to shut up now and listen to what she actually had to say.
Wait, what was the fucking technique she told you about? Or what? I mean, what
So it's, you have to be highly aroused. So it's a technique that you want to do after what we normally typically do for this is I will start riding Sam and like have a few orgasms, squirt a few times, either reverse cowgirl or just facing him, with him laying down on the bed. Then I'll stop and I'll take his cock, and if you go right past like the hard palate in your mouth, there's like a soft section right past that in the roof of your mouth. And I just kind of use his cock and stroke that area with the tip of his cock until I come.
Wait a second.
squirt.
I got to tell you something. I'm taking my tongue to that area and like flicking it a little bit, and I could feel a connection.
Yes.
It is connected to your pussy for sure.
Yes.
You can feel that.
Yes.
Oh my God, Susan Bratton, why didn't that bitch tell me that when she was on my show?
So here's what I did. I went back and I found an article written by Susan Bratton back in 2017, published in yourtango.com. And she pretty much lays it out and she says this. Here's the big secret. The gag reflex is actually the beginning of an orgasmic contraction. She continues, once you realize that gagging is a pathway to female orgasm, you can play with that sensation to the point where it makes you come while you are orally pleasuring him. He'll be moaning and you'll be moaning, and you both can have orgasms from oral pleasuring. Okay, so I'm going to need you to bear with me just a little bit more because I'm going to get slightly metaphysical here. And when I say that, I'm saying this. There is a strong possibility that the throat chakra or the sixth chakra is being stimulated due to oral sex, or the pituitary gland and or the hypothalamus is also getting stimulated, which is causing sexual pleasure for her, which is causing her to have orgasms. To continue this train of thought, I found another article published from yourtango.com in May 2021, which explored various types of female orgasms. And when it comes to the throat orgasm, it said this: when stimulated orally, some women can excrete huge quantities of saliva and mucus that can be very viscous. Sometimes there is even a sort of white foam. So maybe that is some sort of like throat lubrication to make the penis go down the throat easier, or to make it easier to have contact with that part of the throat which stimulates the pituitary gland. I'm not quite sure here, but I've seen that type of lubricant before where it's kind of gooey and sticky and it goes every place. And honestly, that's when you get the best blowjobs ever. Going back to the Your Tango article from 2021, it says, a throat orgasm feels very pleasurable and is accompanied by convulsions and spasms and the need to make strong sounds. Some women will need to pause if they are giving head because the orgasm is so strong they can't continue. And finally, to close out the article from 2021 on throat orgasms, it says, although they are very pleasurable, a throat orgasm feels more transcendent. Some women go into a semi-state of trance and experience a higher and more pure state of consciousness. The question of the day is this: how do you have a throat orgasm? Well, it's very good to be sexually aroused already, and it's even better if you already had a few orgasms. Next, you can take your partner's penis in your mouth and rub the upper backside of your throat. And if you can deep throat this penis, the penis is already pretty much touching the upper backside of your throat anyhow. The article says that you may feel the need to vomit, and or you may start to feel those convulsions like you're going to vomit, but they said that that's a good idea. So in other words, please allow your body to go into spasms and convulsions and permit yourself to make those strong sounds. So if you go back and listen to the interview, you will notice that Erica pretty much says the same thing, to the point where she says that she's already kind of turned on and she's already had a few orgasms already. And then she will take his penis and rub the upper backside of her throat, which helps her to have those throat orgasms. And in her case, she actually says that she squirts a little, or squirts a lot, but still she's having throat orgasms. So, to close out this podcast, let me say this. No, I do not believe that there is a clitoris located somewhere in the back of the throat. And with that said, I do know that there are people who can have orgasms by having their big toe sucked on. And I'll let you think about that for a few seconds, but it's true. And finally, with that said, let me say this. Who am I to deny them their pleasure and their personal experiences? If you can have an orgasm by having a certain area in the top of your throat stimulated, more power to you. So, on that note, I'm out. You guys have a great day. Stay tuned, and I'll talk to you soon.